Hello everyone, how are we doing? Welcome back to another Black Country Homebrew video. As you may have seen by the intro, today we're brewing a all grain kit from Dark Rock, and it is the Nectar Oil. So Nectar Oil is described on the website as an easy drinking, ultra pale, crisp, light session IPA. Intense tropical fruit characteristics of pineapple, passion fruit, peach and citrus are provided by 6 New World hop varieties. A careful selected blend of Simcoe, Galaxy, Big Secret, Columbus, Mosaic and Nectaron hops deliver a hop explosion, which is matched with pale ale malt to ensure dry crispiness in the final taste. This kit produces 40 pints at 4.6% ABV. So I went with this one, watched Dog and Partridge review the other day, looked absolutely cracking. I have tried a sample of this a few months ago when I ordered some Dark Rock stuff, because I've known them as I've bought off them for a few years now. They did send me a bottle up to try this and it was cracking, so I want to see if I can reproduce it myself. Method today, we are going to be going down the Brew in a Bag system, which I got from the malt miller, which is what I used in my last Brew in a Bag, like large batch. So yeah, that is just waiting to heat up now. Currently at 25 degrees, I've literally just turned it on, so hopefully it shouldn't be too long until we are at mash temperature. So looking at the instructions, the malts that are present in this brew are extra pale and dextrin, hops, Columbus, Galaxy, Big Secret, Nectaron, Simcoe, Mosaic. Yeast, it did come with US-05, however I've gone for the Verdant IPA yeast, which I'm going to try in this brew, never tried it before. And as with all Dark Rock kits, you get Starbright's beer finings and a sachet of Pure Brew. If you watch any of my other videos, cracking stuff, do put it in all my other brews. So we've gone for 17 litres of mash water initially, a temperature of 66 degrees. The mash for time is for 1 hour. Sparge water, 77 degrees. However, I don't have a sparge water heater, so it just will be cold water sparged. Did do it with my Yorkshire brew that I brewed a few months ago and it was absolutely fine. So I'm gonna go ahead with that. That's 15 litres. Hop schedule, so pack B, which is this small pack here, goes in at the start of the boil. We then go pack C, which gets added 45 minutes after the boil. And then we also do have pack D, which is after fermentation, leave that in for another 2 days. Right, we are just at 30 degrees, so I'm going to wait for this to warm up and then I'll catch you back then. Thanks. So welcome back. We've just got to just over 70 degrees, which I'm going to use as a strike temperature because the temperature will decrease once I add the grains in. So I'm just going to take the lid off now. Place that on there. And now here is the bag of grains which we're going to tip in. So it's just going to be a case of opening them up. Slowly adding them in. I'm going to do a little bit at a time to try and prevent any dough balls. We'll go for that much for now. Place that down there. Using a mash paddle, give it all a good mix in. All a good stir. actually not any dough balls yet so far, so I'm pretty pleased with that. That'll look a good mix. We'll show you what it looks like inside in a second. I think now we'll probably just go with the rest of the grain. Apart from the tiniest amount in the bottom of the bag, that's everything. These mash paddles are definitely worth it compared to just say like a spoon. I really do get everything. Any sort of dough balls or clumps of grain, I really do get rid of those. Worth every penny. So I'm pretty happy about that, as you can see. Grain's all in, wet, not any clumps. I can feel. Right, how's the temperature doing? So temperature wise, we're a little cold, so I am going to have to go turn the heat on a little bit now just to bring it back up to temperature. I really need to learn when with this strike temperature to go quite significantly over, because as soon as you do drop it in, it does go down. So for example, we're now at just over 60 degrees, so we've dropped a whole 10 degrees by just adding the grain in. The grain was at room temperature, it's not been stored out in the cold, it has been in the house. So just going to add some more power to this now, and I will come back to you in a bit. There we go, end of the mash is complete. So just while this was getting ready, I've put some sanitizer in my fermentation bucket. I've got my fermentation fridge up to the right temperature, and just did some general things around the house. So for those who are familiar with brewing a bag, it's now just a case of pulling the bag out with the grains in, placing that rack underneath, and then starting spars. So I'm just going to pull this out now. Try and not get any over the table. So as you can imagine, that bag is extremely heavy with all the grain that's in there. The next thing is the sparge, which, as I said, I'm just using cold water. I haven't got a sparge water heater. It is on my list to buy, but at the moment can't justify the cost when I actually haven't seen it make that much of a difference. So this sparge, we're simply going with Morrison's Finest Hydrate Still Water, which is what I've used in the whole of this brew. So on the instructions, I'll just double check. I need 15 litres, as you can see there, sparge water, 15 litres. I didn't heat it last time and the brew turned out fine, so I genuinely question how much of a difference it actually does make. I'm sure there's some scientific reasoning out there behind it, but I haven't seen it myself, so we'll just simply pour the cold water over, wash those grains off like so. Trying not to go too quick, I'm trying to just be steady with it. Right, as these are 5 litre bottles, I've got another 2 to go. You don't need to watch me do them, so we're back in a second once I've done these. So that's now all 15 litres of sparge water gone over the grains. So I've turned the heat back on, that's now heating up to the boil. It does take quite a long time on this system, but I'm just going to get the grains, transfer them into a black bag and put them in the bin. I don't really have a garden for any compost or anything as much as I'd like to. Should really look at making something else out of them, but at the moment they're just going in the bin. Now that the mash is done, I've emptied the grains out. So we're currently sat at about 80 degrees. We've got to get this to a rolling boil, so I've put the lid back on. Hopefully it shouldn't take too long, but on the last brew that I did use in this system, it did take a good while to get to the rolling boil. But for what it is, it's a fantastic piece of kit, so I shall catch you when it's rolling. Just while I'm waiting for the boil, I remembered that I didn't tell you that it's 4.5%. 35 IBU and 6 EBC. I've just been reading the rest of the instructions, so it'll just be, as soon as it gets to the boils, adding the hops as per the schedule. Right, we're finally at the rolling boil. It took about 20 minutes, half hour to get here, which wasn't too bad. So as per the instructions, the first hop that needs to go in is pack B, which is at the start of the boil, which is a small pack of hops here. I've got my hop spider here, so I'm just going to chuck that in. And then I'm going to cut open the hops. Not sure what hops they are, they don't detail which hop is in which pack, so I'm guessing it's probably a mixture of hops. Smells lovely. There's the hops for you if it'll focus. I'm just going to pop them straight into the brew like so. And they are moving around nicely in there. Next set of hops goes in 45 minutes after the boil. So in 45 minutes time we'll be adding pack C, which as you can see is a bigger pack of hops there. So I'll see you in 45 minutes. Now 45 minutes into the boil, so next pack and final pack of hops whilst the boil is on is going in. There's a right mixture of hops in here. That smells absolutely insane. So I'm just going to tip them into my ops boiler, like so. Get everything out there. Shut them down. That pack has also got bright water in, which is, I believe, is a Harris Filters product, dark rock brewing product. So that should hopefully clear the water, give us a clear beer. So we've got 15 minutes left. I'll see you back here once the boil is over. So we've just reached the end of the boil now. I've just turned the heat off and the boil has stopped pretty much straight away. I've put my immersion cooler in to disinfect that, and I'll be transferring that outside in a minute to cool it down. Looking at about 20 degrees hopefully to pitch the yeast. Hopefully the immersion chiller will get it down that low. It's been pretty warm today, but hopefully the groundwater should still be pretty cold. So I'm just going to do that now. I have to take my kettle outside because hose pipe doesn't reach all the way in here, unfortunately. So I'll do that now. Sorry about the dark, but as you can see, we're now cooling the water down. We are currently there. It's cooling it down fairly quick, to be fair, so I shall come back to you once it's at temperature. So after about 20 minutes of cooling it with the immersion chiller, it's currently at 22 degrees. I did try and get it cooler, but it just wasn't going any cooler, no matter how long I was leaving it. So next thing to do is transfer it into fermentation bucket. We're not going with anything fancy on this brew, no pressure fermenter or anything. We're just going good old bucket. So simply a case of opening the valve and getting as much air as possible into it. Helps if the valve's closed on the bucket. Chup so it doesn't drip everywhere. So the wort is very foamy, which is a good sign. It means there's a good amount of oxygen in there. Just going to pause it there, and I'm going to tip the pure brew in. So as I mentioned before, for those of you who don't know, every beer I make, big batch, has pure brew in it. Really enhances the brew. I have no idea what's in it, but it gets rid of the homebrew taste and just makes it I think there's yeast nutrient in it. It gives the yeast some nutrient, but the main thing for me is, even though I haven't used tap water this time, it just makes the brew taste so much better. So get all that out of there. I'm meant to stir it in, so I thought I'll just mix it in now while I've got the brew going into it here. If there is any beers that you'd like me to try and brew or want me to brew, I know I do a lot of dark rock stuff, but it's because they were in my local homebrew shop when I was at home. Then let me know, I will try and do a brew that's requested. Smells really good. Now I'm getting to the end, so I'm just going to stop it there because I do want to try and get a hydrometer reading. So let me just angle you down a sec. As you can see, loads of oxygen in that water. So back in a second. Just grabbed my hydrometer and took a little sample. We are at 10:44. So we're a little under. It was meant to be 10:46, so I'm not too bothered about that. So one last final thing to do is add the yeast, which, as I say, is the damn IPA yeast. Something I've never tried. Just seen really good reviews about it online, so instead of using Sapphire again, I thought I'd give this a try. It does say you can rehydrate it or just pour it. I've gone for just pour on top. So I'm just going to break the yeast up a little bit and sprinkle it onto the water. There we go. Jesus, that's strong stuff, that is. I'll leave that to do its thing now and be happy. Got my lid here. She's just been sanitised. Got my airlock going in. So there we go, that's all sealed up. Next thing to do is wait for fermentation to finish and dry hop with Pack D, which is a massive bag of hops. As you can probably guess, that's where I think all the flavour and this aroma is going to come from. So once they're in, leave them for 2 days and it should be ready to keg. That's that. As you can see, it took a little longer than I expected. It got dark. I wasn't expecting it to get so dark so quick. But I'm going to put this now into my fermentation fridge. 19 degrees, I'm going to keep it out for the 5 days. And then I shall see you at the tasting video once it's done. Thanks once again for watching. If you've got any comments, tips, anything, drop them down in the comments below. I'm still an amateur homebrew, even though I've been doing it for a few years. So any tips that you do have are much appreciated. And if you do like, subscribe, comment, like. Thank you.